thought this day would really come, but it's here. When I was asked to speak, I just kept asking myself over and over again, where do I begin to capture in a short eulogy the joyous, wonderful 75 years of my dearest friend for 61 years and her mission to make a difference in the world each day. I also asked myself, how am I going to deliver this with a broken heart, as I believe most of you might be experiencing as in our collective guilt, in our collective loss and grief. Patti meant so many different things to so many different people. She was a daughter, a sister, a wife, an aunt, a cousin, a friend, a philanthropist, a good neighbor, and on and on. She was compassionate and empathetic, always there to lend an ear, lend a hand, and get things done. She wore many hats, literally and figuratively. And back to the original question, where to begin? Let me just simply begin with her heart full of love and her generosity of spirit. Each of you has your own idea of what Patti was to you. No matter what your idea was, she was always all in. Her generosity of spirit and love were showered on her family. She fiercely loved each and every one of you. Siblings, in-laws, nieces, nephews, cousins, etc. She would be there any time of the day or the night to help in any way she could. With her wonderful guy, Gary, her generosity of spirit was unmatched. He needed to set up his practice. She was by his side. At first, they played tennis at the Pierpont Racket Club and made many friends in the community. At first, then Gary wanted to sail. She learned to crew, always organized the decorating of the boat and the crew for the Parade of Lights. Remember the year with the stereo system? Next was golf. She learned and even won the Lexus from Gary on a putt, as Richard referred to. And then there was Gary's garden. He loved to garden. And she always made sure his supplies for his roses were just a step away. And then travel. Most of their planning down to all the little details done by Patti. And then there was always their annual trip to Martha's Vineyard in September for Gary's birthday to see Dan and Ann Renahan, their dearest childhood lifelong friends. We referred to them today before about the Schnells. Many people have very fond memories of the vineyard. There usually was a contingent that descended on Danny and Ann's house. For her friends, no matter the situation, she would be there for you, all in. If comfort was needed, she was there. If you were thinking of buying something, she would get on her computer, researching it for you. Or, next, she would be ordering it for you, usually in 6, and delivery the next day. If you were hosting an event, and she was invited, she would be there. She loved the all-girl gatherings, the lunches, the dinners, the camping, and any and all celebrations. And she would usually have hats, scarves, or some accessory to mark that occasion. She was all in. Diane Gordon has a wonderful library of photos from those gatherings. Ladies, treasure those pictures and the memories they hold. The necklace and the women of Julia experience really gave Patti her time to shine. The idea of sharing was in her DNA, and if fundraising to help others could coordinate with sharing, all the better. Then there was participation in Hearing is Believing, a film by Lorenzo Di Stefano, a whole new venue for her to be involved in. And as always, all in. She very much loved the community here in Ventura, always there to support. The botanical gardens were very special to Patti. She was there when the idea was conceived, and then she established the Channer site. It is so fitting that we are here today to celebrate her life. To conclude, although Patti and I were 3,000 miles apart, always, our hearts were never apart. And for that, I will be forever grateful and treasure all my memories. We should leave here today thinking of Patti's generosity of spirit and try to emulate it as often as we can. Live, laugh, and love. Peace to all. And as we're going to hear a lot today, and as Patti would say, it's all in divine right order. Peace be with you. I believe Janelle, her West Coast bestie.
I love being here with all of you guys. I know so many of you, and it's just wonderful that you're here for Patti, because she cared about all of you. And if I know you, you know me. If you know me, you know I like to talk. And you know I like to write and put feelings into words. But I didn't like writing this. And I don't want to talk about Patti. I want to talk to Patti. I want her sitting right there next to Maddie and standing where Steve is standing. I don't want her anywhere but here with me and here with all of us. But we're here. Patti was my very, very best friend. And I know that there are a lot of you who would say that, because Patti was the best friend you could have. She was made to be a friend. She was full of love and of light. And that's what she brought to all of us. And there's so many adjectives, and there's so many superlatives, and all the things you can say about Patti. But you know them all, because you're here, and you know that she was the most and the best, and she was just a wonderful, wonderful friend. But we're here to celebrate her marvelous life. We're here to grieve the fact that she's not with us anymore. We're here to remember her, and we're here to share our stories, because in the end, that's what we have. The opportunity to share our stories and say that it was good. And the story, Patti's and my story, started 43 years ago outside the Cold Springs Tavern. Some of you were here on that momentous day when we took the party bus and headed off into the hills. Yes, I see you out there. And we recognized each other as kindred spirits, as just two of a kind. And from that point on, we just were. We were just connected. Let's see, where am I? Da-da-da-da-da-da. Okay, let's try this. Okay. We were partners in crime, Patti and I. We were Thelma and Louise. I was Thelma. She was Louise, always looking out for Thelma as she got in trouble. Patti always looked out for me. Whenever we walked anywhere, she would give me her arm to hold on to. I imagine she did that with a lot of you. And we thought we were the perfect partners. I mean, Patti liked to be in control, and I don't care about being in control at all. In fact, you may not know that, but I'm actually a very compliant person. So I'm surprised you laughed. But I loved to have her run the show, because she ran it so well. She could do whatever she wanted, and I was going to like it 100%. She was the greatest traveling companion. She made the best reservations, and she made a lot of them. Many years ago, before online, many years ago she got her travel agent's license so she could bring a certain gravitas to this situation. And you can imagine walking up to this young person behind the reservation desk, and Patti, with her charm and her humor and her style, she was absolutely irresistible. We got great upgrades wherever we went. We stayed in the best rooms. And we had so many adventures. What Patti and I had most of all was fun. We loved to have fun together. Amsterdam was the perfect location for us. We spent a week there with our luggage lost. We were not lost, and we didn't lose our luggage. It just never arrived, but it didn't slow us down one little bit. And we sprinkled Joe Cardella's ashes over Delos. So Patti is now part of the zeitgeist with Joe joined. Great times everywhere. The Dolomites, Germany, we love to travel. And to go to New York City with Patti was absolutely the best. I love New York City because she showed it to me in all its glory. Even just driving out of town, heading north over the Ventura River, we would fire up the music and sing a couple of verses of On the Road Again, which I'm sure many of you do the same thing when you leave town. It's kind of how we travel. Patti wasn't afraid of getting in trouble or breaking the rules. She never said no. Why would she? Why would any of us? Our adventure with the diamond necklace was absolutely the perfect opportunity, as Carol mentioned, to do what we like to do best. Meet new people, talk to them about ideas. We never met a stranger, and between us we could make friends remarkably easily. But the thing with Patti, once you were Patti's friend, you were Patti's friend forever. That's where her magic came from. She never lost touch. She remembered things about you. She made things happen. She loved to make connections, to bring people together and to create something. I mean, think about the events at the museum, the things that went on there. Her work with MB and the murals in Cuba and how that happened. She loved Art City. We should all love Art City. And she loved the botanical gardens. It's perfect that we're here today because it's so much of what she was. And we'll drive past her beautiful site as we drive away. Patti was more than just a patron of the arts. She was a patron of the artists. And I see so many of you here today. She loved you all. She'll love you forever. And that's what we all are. We're Patti's forever friends. I know that there will never be anybody else in my life like Patti. She was my bookend. She was my best friend. I'll never forget her, never ever. And while she may not be anywhere, she will always be everywhere. We are stardust. She was golden, and we are in the garden. I love you, Patti. Who's next? Mary. She's supposed to sit in the sun any time now.
Oh boy. I really don't like following Janelle because she knows how to work a crowd. And Patti knows how much I hate public speaking, but I have to do this. And where is the sun? The sun was here and now it's trying to peek out again. I look out today and I realize that most of the people here I know because of Patti. I met you because of Patti. And if it wasn't for her, I would never have met you. And that is her biggest gift that she ever gave me. Her family, her friends are now my family and my friends. Family was the most important part of her life, and I am honored to have met most, if not all of them, and they are very, very dear to me. Patti had so many people in her life. Many of us call her ourselves her friend, her best friend, her longtime friend, and you didn't say your sex, drugs, and rock and roll friend. That's Janelle.
You can only go so far.
Yeah. But Patti didn't have friends like you or I think. She built relationships, hundreds of them. each of them feeling very special in Patty's eyes. And they are all special. Excuse me. My papers are sticking together. Patty's world of relationships, of bonds with people, were so strong that they withstood months, weeks, years, decades. She rarely would let anyone be forgotten. A birthday, an anniversary, a holiday. If you hadn't seen her in years, she would greet you like it was just yesterday. And for her, it truly was. She kept each of us in her heart. So close. Bursting with love. I've never known anyone quite like her. And her gift was her way with people. And how she always made you feel special and important because in her world you were. And I cannot think of a better way to honor Patti, but to continue as best we can with her spirit of friendship, her building of relationships, and her capacity to love. Namaste. And Diane, Gordon, are you guys coming up? This is Patty's group of, we call her the, I guess what, the hood? The girls from the hood?
I'm Kathy Hartley, and this is Diane Gordon. We've only known Patti for 20 years, and we
22.
She was here in Ventura 47 years, and she never learned how to pronounce ER at the end of a word. I always called her Patti Channa. I never called her Patti. It was always Patti Channa, even in the emails.
I met Patti when we first moved to Ventura 22 years ago. I followed my best friend Kathy of over 40 years here, and the rest is girlfriend history. I met Patti volunteering for the Rubicon when I first arrived and trying to network because Kathy was so busy and still is all the time. And has too many houses, too many friends. And we began to get to know her best friend since grade school, Carol, through all of her stories. So our history is shorter than most, but we as a group of ladies, friends, from starting, maybe a lot of us through charity work. Are you signing? Oh. She does that too. Through charity work and Saticoy, and just built a community, and we got to know Carol and her family. She loved everybody, and her stories. You didn't just sit in a car or a room with Patti and not get to know people you might never even meet. It was just endless. So our history is shorter than most, but we have all supported and we've celebrated one another on a regular basis for all these years. Patti was unique, a caring, loyal friend, philanthropic, compassionate, spiritual, and a force, one of a kind. We miss her individually, all of us gals, all of us here, but especially when we get together, our group, there's just a huge hole, and it'll hopefully somehow be filled with all our cherished memories one day. And I'm glad, Carol, for the books and the pictures and the memories.
What we miss most about Patti is the laughter. It's the laughter that defines our memories. Holidays, family holidays, COVID Zooms, and then in the Zooms, we would dress up and put funny faces on, and we'd be cats and animals, and we'd have crazy times every week. We didn't miss. And then we had COVID gatherings after, when we weren't supposed to be together, but we'd be together on the beach, and there's a picture of Patti over there with the mask with lips on it. That's pretty funny.
That Dana made. Dana made us those masks.
And then we had girlfriends' lunches. We probably had over, 300
Yeah.
over the years, and overnights. We went to Nashville and Catalina, glamping in El Capitan's, Summerland with John Legend, Paso with the Field of Dreams, and Ojai many times. And there was so much laughter, and especially if Patti had gummies. And we even laughed through cancer. She wore her fuck cancer socks. And if she was ever afraid, she never showed it. She was so strong and brave through everything. She just went on like the warrior she was, building her dream home and fighting cancer. And it was so amazingly strong for us.
No. Oh. Besides being Aunt Patti to our children, she held and embraced all their children, our grandchildren, as they were born. Everyone called her Aunt Patti, even though she wasn't they're brilliant. But then we started calling her PFC, because the F word was such a big part of her vocabulary.
She'd always say, "I'm Patti fucking Channer," so we shortened it to PFC. We walked every Sunday at the harbor, and she would stop and always talk to somebody. We'd go, "Where were you?" And she was either connecting with somebody, or she was being the mask police. "He didn't have his mask on!" She had such a sarcastic sense of humor.
Don't they know the fuck effing dogs are We're not supposed to have an effing dog off a leash.
She was all about connecting and gratitude and giving. We don't need to read that one.
Okay, all right. Oh shit! I did want to read a couple of things, because I went to her Facebook page. Don't tell me to sit down. I went to her Facebook page the other day, and I remembered I had seen a couple of these things, but there are so many here who feel just as much a loss as us, and have said the most wonderful things that spoke to me. Sarah Fox, the world, Patti meant the world to her, and she knew her only for a few years, but the connection, she just connected. She connected to people in the most unbelievable way. And Sarah was crushed and said the world lost a significant dear human. She was a client, a mentor, a friend, family. She taught me wonderful lessons with support, compassion, and understanding, and always with truth. I would not be the person I am today without her. And it's just, I mean, they weren't lifelong friends or anything. I mean, that's the kind of impact she made on Sarah, and just, and another, well, Sabrina, I don't see Sabrina here, but hers was the original post, and it was so poignant, so fortunate to call you friend, neighbor, collaborator, and someone who would always rekindle my fire when it waned. You fought fiercely for things you loved. You spread beauty. You were someone who shared your passion and energy to make your community more beautiful in so many ways. And the last one was the Mike Bully in New Zealand met Gary and Patti in 1976 after a week-long shared drive through South Island, became friends for life just because of the fun and laughter they shared. And I mean, I think you know, I will miss the laughter more than anything. It was pee your pants laughter. It doesn't matter where we were. It was outrageous laughter. We've all been gratefully blessed with friends in our lives, but I think we can all agree there will never be a friend like Patti Shannon.
It's all in divine right order, Patti Shannon.
Hey Patty, less is more. I know all about it. Okay, you kept telling me less is more. And from that conversation at a party about 2 or 3 years ago, and I've only been here about 7 years, so I'm just a speck in the Channerville sand. She said that it was a discussion about death with about 6 or 8 people, and she said, "I'm going to win." Okay, and I looked around and I said, "Yeah, I'm beginning to understand who she is." And I said, "Well, I'll come in second." And she said, "I love you for that." Okay, you can laugh if you want. Anyway, so the Patti channel that everybody has been talking about completely sucked my my speech out. Okay, everybody talked what I was going to talk about. Anyway, she was very, very interesting, and I go Patti Shannon, PC, politically correct. That was Patti Shannon in my mind, okay? And then she was politically incorrect also, so it's PI. And she was superb at both, being incorrect and being correct. And I'll never forget that. And she just finished a commission for her, she wanted 4 drawings for her new house on the hill, which I don't know if it's going to be done or not. It doesn't make any difference to me. And I did 7 drawings because it's Patti. Okay, so she was worth 3 more. Being an artist, that's an important step, or an important thing to say. The last thing I've been noticing since I've been sitting here is the different hair from everybody. She covered everything. I'm looking at people and they all look different. Okay, and that's Patti. That was Patti. She was bringing in people that I find very, very interesting, and I became one of them. Patti, less is more, honey. And I know that you're trying to shine through. I can feel the sun coming in every so often, and I'm glad it's on me right now. Thank you.